Hello and welcome back to another video where I get angry at Ruby Franke. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Miss Paris and on my channel you can find tips, advice and information all about teaching. If you are a teacher, aspiring teacher, trainee teacher, then go check out some of my previous videos. I have specific playlists that can help you with all kinds of things teacher related. If you're not a teacher and you're actually just clicking on this video for the first time because you want to see a teacher's perspective on the whole Ruby Franke situation, then also thank you for coming to join us, because I want this video to not just be about personal opinion roasting Ruby Franke, although she deserves it. I want it to be a way to highlight the important role that educators have and actually what things highlight to me as a safeguarding concern, what things could have been signs to the school had they seen these clips when they were released at the time, or had they seen the after effects, the physiological impact of those clips and the said statements at school. So this is really an educational video, but of course I will be reacting to a very famous clip from Ruby Franke. This is my second video on her. The first one was where I reacted to the famous clip of Ruby talking about how her 6-year-old forgot the lunch. The teacher contacted her to ask her to bring something and she was rather cross about it. And basically her resolution to that was, I'm going to let my child go hungry. So as you can imagine, as a teacher, I had a lot to say about that, and I'll also link it in the description below, so do go and check that out. Today I am going to be reacting to a clip of Chad talking about his friendship situation as well as his sleeping arrangements. Obviously this is in the past. If you don't know anything about Ruby Franke, then let me rewind a little bit before I get started. So Ruby Franke is the mum of 6 children and she previously had a very famous YouTube channel with her now separated husband called 8 Passengers. It became super popular despite multiple controversies, amassing up to 2.5 million subscribers. So you can imagine all of these clips, all of these controversies, they're not new to the limelight. They have been scrutinized for 2-3 years now. And it's only recently that on August the 30th, she was arrested for child abuse, which I shall refer to as CA for the remainder of the video. Her son actually fled from her business partner's home, Judy Hildebrandt, who was also arrested on charges of CA. He fled to the neighbour's house and asked for food and water and to call the police. In the 911 call that has been released, that the neighbour is actually getting emotional about the state of the child. The child had lacerations from being detained. He was clearly malnourished. He still had remainders of duct tape around his extremities. That's what was said in the article, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. The other youngest child, I believe, was also sent to hospital, as well as the child that fled the home because of malnourishment. 2 children have left the family home, but the other 2 I'm not actually sure about. So Jodie and Ruby were arrested. Initially it was just 1 or 2 cases, but actually it amassed to a total of, I think, 6 counts. They have had their first trial and they are still being held without the possibility of bail, and she has since released some further accusations that her minor children, so they are under the age of 16, were of a sexual nature, abusing each other, and also that her 3-year-old was watching inappropriate adult content, which, I mean, I don't even have to be a teacher to comment on that. A 3-year-old, you can't blame them if they're watching that. That is strictly your fault and your neglect, or your husband's. I'm not even going into that. That is their fault. So I was shocked to hear about that. But there is the context. This is a clip from a few years ago. As you can see, Chad is the eldest son, and you can already see that he is a lot older here. They started their YouTube when he was definitely like under 10, maybe 6, 7, and here he's a teenager. So this is not even that long ago, and it just goes to show how long they've been in the spotlight and how many signs we could have spotted. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's get into the video.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think so. Chad just said that my bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and you can see that he isn't particularly amused by the situation. You know, he still has a very serious face on. He is actually looking at himself in the top screen of the camera, which is why his eyes are directed upwards to see what his face looks like. And you can see that Ruby isn't doing this. She is looking straight at the camera and she is laughing. She is visibly and audibly laughing at this situation. She doesn't look guilty, she doesn't look embarrassed, absolutely none of that.
I think our viewers know that.
You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since
She said, I don't think our viewers know that. But despite this, she is still laughing. If a big secret like that came out, one that might cause controversy, one that actually people might accuse me of things, and that came out, I would not be laughing. I would either try and defend myself, I would look a bit guilty, look a bit sheepish. She's just laughing and saying, I don't think our viewers know that. And then it came to one of the girls in the background and Chad saying that he actually slept on a beanbag for 7 months, I might add.
over. And they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think this is the reason. At least this is the reason that's been in my head. It's pretty funny, but now that I look back, I mean, it's pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I will.
So straight away you can see Ruby preparing for this reason. So Chad is starting to lighten up a little bit. He's going to tell us the reason why. But she has completely changed her body language. It's almost as if she genuinely feels cross about this reason, or if she is preparing to take that authoritative role in order to say, hey, I know I've taken that punishment away, but actually I'm still not happy with the reason you did it. It's not funny even 7 months on. I'm going to take a stand and I'm going to take the upper hand, the power figure.
Woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in a suitcase. And then he walked out the door and I'm like, Russell, he was like, what? And he's all happy. Has his sunglasses on.
So the reason why he lost his bedroom for 7 months and had to sleep on a beanbag is because he told his brother that they were going to Disneyland and the brother packed his suitcase and left the house at 2 AM. Now you can see there were moments of that where Ruby was actually laughing. So does she find it funny? Is she kind of doing a U-turn in the direction of being like, actually, do you know what, fair enough, that was a good prank? I mean, they're a family channel. They, you know, so many family channels do pranks all the time. Nobody was necessarily hurt in this apart from poor Russell thinking, oh, we're going to Disneyland, and that not being the reality. But you can see that she's not even consistent in her emotions. If she was constantly laughing, then we would know how she was feeling. If she was constantly strict and stern, you'd know how she was feeling. But she's constantly mixing it up. If as a teacher, we were to walk into a room and then while we were doing a kind of restorative practice of what happened, how could we make it better, and we were laughing about the situation, that doesn't send the message to the child that actually what they did was an unacceptable behavior. That tells them that actually, oh, the teacher doesn't really mean it and this is kind of a joke. You know, if you say to a child to stop doing something because something is unsafe, but you're laughing through it, the child is kind of like, well, actually, is this unsafe? Because if it was unsafe, you wouldn't be laughing. You wouldn't be smiling right now. And I think that's why very often in films, they depict evil people as smiling through acts that actually aren't morally right, or, you know, they're evil, etc., whatever the film is. But you know, you always have that really freaky smile. Like, that's kind of the Joker's poster pose, isn't it? This really creepy smile. So it's very, very confusing to me, and I'm sure to the kids as well, being like, oh, do you actually find it funny or not? But yeah, I really don't understand her kind of view of the situation, judging by this video.
You think it's funny because...
And then I walk out and...
If you think it's funny, then you... That was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
So, is this not just proving my point? If you still find it funny that was 7 months ago, maybe you need to lose your bedroom again. But she was just laughing and smiling a second ago. So does that mean that, again, she's just manipulating, controlling for the sake of it, when actually she doesn't really agree with it? Imagine if we gave a child a sanction, we laughed while giving the sanction or while talking about what happened, and then after the sanction, the child laughs about it in retrospect, they kind of, you know, clean slate, and then we go, oh, maybe you didn't learn your lesson. But I was laughing through it, so I don't know if Chad saw her kind of laughing and smirking, but she did. And again, this is what I was saying a few moments ago. She's just trying to exert her authority for the sake of it. She's just trying to say, hey, I'm the mum, I'm the parent, I'm just gonna put this punishment on you because actually, do you know what? This is how I show that I'm the boss. It's kind of the extreme version of my house, my rules, which some parents say, but actually she's not even making it clear what the expectations are. Is it just that he shouldn't prank again? Is it because that prank was too far? But then she was laughing at it. So, you know, I bet now Chad is going to completely change his body language and shrink again. Or he might get defensive, it depends.
It was not funny.
There you go. So, like I said, he just did a complete U-turn. He went, oh yeah, that's not funny. And then shrunk. His hands were near his lips and face, and you can tell when people feel remorse, and I am no body language expert, that's not something I studied, but sometimes there's just obvious signs, and you could tell that he was just doing that as a reaction to her. There wasn't actually a thorough feeling of remorse or guilt inside, or truth in the words that he said, which, no, it wasn't funny. Because you can't do a full U-turn like that just as a reply to your mum. I think this is probably a sign that he is threatened by her, and he knows that because she said it on camera, she might actually follow through with it, and people might comment and be like, oh, did you? And so she might actually go through with that sanction of taking the bedroom away just because.
Russell got the big bedroom and Chad got the smaller bedroom. And Russell's bigger bedroom also had a bathroom. But what you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family room. Abby.
So Chad was sleeping on the floor of the family room, and I'm guessing that there was just a beanbag nearby that he took that initiative to try and sleep on. I think another thing that we haven't really mentioned here is he is obviously not young anymore. He might be 16, 17, I'm not sure. I think now in 2023 he's 18, but I'm not sure when this was recorded. But there is a real need for children to have privacy. And he's not even a child, he's a teenager. You know, you need to feel that sense of independence. You need to feel that sense of owning something, and when you're too young to own a property, to own a car, etc., it's your bedroom. That's why people say take care of your things when they want you to tidy your bedroom. It's the same in the school. We take pride in our classroom, and we make the children feel like this is, obviously it belongs to the school, but we make it feel like it's theirs. We make it feel like it belongs to 3AP or 1AP or whatever year group you're in. You know, you want the children to feel like they can take care of something, that they can take pride in something. And that's why we hold them accountable for their work, their things like that. But if he has no bedroom and he's got no sleeping arrangement, he just belongs in the family room, that almost takes away his sense of identity. Like, he has nothing that belongs to him. He has nowhere to be himself. And there are even clips that show them going through his text messages and reading the text messages aloud on camera, and the whole family and all of them laughing at him. I mean, how belittled can you feel? We're giving responsibility to children kind of 4, 5, 6, especially in the UK, we start primary school at 4. You know, we're allowing them to feel that sense of belonging and security in the classroom. But his place is in the family room, that's where you sleep. Where is the sense of autonomy? She's taken that away from him, even as a teenager. He had nothing for about 7 months. And I mentioned in the beginning, I wonder if any of the teachers or schools could see this, could sense that there was something off. Now, if you think about last video, I was talking about food and how important it is for learning, for attention, just for general growth. But the same applies for sleep. If you are severely sleep deprived, if you're a parent watching this and you've had sleepless nights with newborns or toddlers, etc., you know what it's like. Can you imagine then having to go to school, having to face friends, teachers, etc., all while being achy, while actually maybe hindering your growth as a teenager because you're like sleeping weird, folded weirdly onto a beanbag? You know, can you imagine his concentration? I think there is also a clip of him, might be the same kind of timeline, I'm not sure, of him saying that actually he got suspended for school and that actually he was doing badly at school, he was getting bad grades. Is this a contributing factor? Very, very possible. I have had children that have had a bad night's rest. It might be due to heat, it might be due to illness, it might be due to a younger baby sibling that was keeping them up. And they have fallen asleep in class. At least in my school, if they were physically falling asleep for a reason, we wouldn't necessarily wake them up unless it was hours and hours. Sometimes they just need 10 minutes of sleep and then, do you know what, they were refreshed. I know that it can have a big positive impact to kind of listen to your body and just allow your body to rest, even for those 10 minutes. But this poor guy, he's probably at a key stage in his teenage education, in his secondary education. He probably has exams coming up and he's almost been sleep deprived because of a prank that he pulled on his brother. It is just absolutely ridiculous. And again, it just shows that she doesn't care about the impact of her actions. Yes, the direct consequence of not getting a bed might be lack of sleep, but she doesn't think about the consequences of lack of sleep. It can impair on his concentration, his attention, his mood. Imagine if one day he snaps at his mum. What would his mum do? She'd probably send him off again to that camp in the wilderness. But actually, do you know what? It was probably due to lack of sleep. We all get grouchy with lack of sleep or lack of food. And we've also seen clips of her threatening to take away his breakfast and his dinner.
I think you're torturing him. Stop it. I know you're not, but it looks like you are. Okay, Russell. I'm only gonna say it one more time and then you're gonna lose the privilege to eat dinner.
So let's say in this hypothetical, he's lost breakfast. Maybe he forgot his lunch at school, so guess what? She's not coming in to give him any lunch. And then afterwards, when he gets home, he might have a snack, he'll have dinner, maybe, hopefully. And then he gets barely any sleep. Do you think he's gonna be in a good mood the day after? Or he's gonna be on top peak performance? I don't think so.
We took the phone away from Abby in November.
Oh,
and you may never get the phone back.
Probably not.
No.
So Abby has lost the phone since November. We're not sure why. She doesn't give a reason. So either that says, I don't care to share it with you, although she overshares with everything else, or it just means that maybe it might make her look bad, so she hasn't said it. But then Abby, you know, she even acknowledges that she probably won't get the phone back. They are used to having items taken away from them, either for minor reasons or previously admitted by Ruby can't be bothered to take the responsibility of making sure they're safe on their devices. And you just think, why? So I know that, spoiler alert, I know that in a little bit they talk about friendships, and I think this has a huge impact on it. If you think Chad's being sleepy, maybe he's grouchy, and then you've got her daughter Abby who can't physically keep in contact with her friends, you think about how strict Mormons their parents are. Actually, are they then separating the children from opportunities to socialize? Maybe the friends went, oh, let's go to this concert, and the parents are like, nope, it's not appropriate music. So actually, not only are they physically taking away the possibility to contact, but also because we know her strict views, there might be really limited opportunities to make friendships and to sustain them.
I have no friends.
You can play with friends.
No, like I don't have friends.
I don't have friends either.
I literally like told my friends I'm not hanging out with them anymore.
Here we saw the clip where both Chad and Abby, like I said, say they don't have friends. And you can see again straight away, he is not even looking at the camera now, he's just in the distance. And you can tell that this causes him a little bit of distress, like he is sad about this. And she's doing this whole like concerning look thing, but she doesn't turn the camera off and say, okay, let's have a chat about this, and maybe she updates the viewers later. She records the entire thing, and you can just see that he is embarrassed by that. He is saying that he cut off his friend group. Is this because of manipulation or influence from his parents? Is this because he's suddenly taking that moral standpoint and just being like, I'm going to disconnect my friends from that? But this is why, you know, there was this whole talk about Ruby and Jody. The company they made was called Connections after she stopped this 8 Passengers YouTube channel, and people are really making comparisons and similarities with a cult. You know, they are really trying to push this belief that there is only one way to do things, and they are summarizing that, and they are calling that truth. So if you're not doing this, you don't know truth. If you're not doing this, you are distorted, I think is the word that they commonly used. And you think maybe if she really had these core beliefs before she joined Jodie in Connections, maybe she has been manipulating these children. And if you instill these strong beliefs over children over a long period of time, they start to internalize it, they start to believe it. So it might be him pushing his friends away, but then we can make comparisons with this with things like domestic ABUSE, because they consciously push their family or friends away, and because they end up kind of sucked into this mentality and this belief that is given to them by the people that are inflicting actual harm on them, whether it's physical or mental or emotional or verbal. We don't know what's going on behind these scenes, but it's actually really sad to hear them talk about friends like this. So I'll just rewind that a little bit, and we'll listen to why Chad said this.
I literally told my friends I'm not hanging out with them anymore because they say some pretty messed up stuff.
Because they say pretty messed up stuff. So what's messed up by his definition? Is it just silly teenage things? Maybe they're talking about girls and he deems that inappropriate because he believes in no sex before marriage, which is absolutely fine. Or is it actually messed up things that maybe he should go and find some other friends? We don't know
where they live. They're pretty far away.
So, summer goal, become the best athlete I possibly can.
So I'm glad that he's kind of taking that positive stance and being like, right, I'm going to be the best I can be. But if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is basically a psychologist that said we have a pyramid of needs. The bottom are the foundational things that everybody needs, and as you go up, the top of that pyramid is self-actualization, and this is being the best that you can be. This is the ability to be that best form of yourself. And basically what they're saying is if you don't have the basics at the bottom, like physiological needs, there's no way that you can fully mount upwards to get to self-actualization. Let's say you have shelter and warmth, but you don't have food and sleep. Then you may be able to go up the pyramid slightly, but you're never going to be fully able to get to self-actualization. And bless him, he's kind of going, right, I'm going to try and be the best athlete I can be, which, knowing as a punishment she often makes them do push-ups on the floor, etc., kind of sounds not staged, but just a form of manipulation from previous things she said. But also, is it possible for him to achieve what he wants with the lack of sleep and also knowing that he's having meals taken away occasionally? You know, is this just appeasing his mum and saying what she wants to hear because he's on camera? Because he's not smiling, he doesn't seem inspired. His hands are very much still by his mouth, he's kind of muttering words. You know, and then Abby, she's trying to put on a brave face, a very nervous laugh, saying, I don't even know where they live. But actually you can hear the sadness in her voice, you can see it in her eyes. She's not laughing. That is nowhere near the same reaction as to when Chad was describing the prank on his brother. And I think I'm going to conclude this because I know sometimes I can waffle, but I really just want people to know what the impact of her actions can be beyond just the direct consequence of it. You know, again, it's not just being a little bit sleep deprived because the bed was taken away. What are the consequences of being sleep deprived? And I wonder if in schools they could see that, they could sense that, they could see maybe he was losing weight, or like little Eve was losing weight or looking a bit malnourished. And, you know, potentially when it went downhill is when they started homeschooling, because schools and educators are the biggest reporters of CA, and you know, we see those children potentially the most during school terms aside from their parents, and we have a huge responsibility. And I do just question whether the school could have known, whether the school could have taken it upon themselves to actually do more. And I really hope that that gives any educators watching this video food for thought. Don't just dismiss a child not having breakfast because they said we didn't have time. Document it, because if it happens twice in a week or 3 times in a fortnight, you know, it's not standard, and you need to imagine it as being part of a puzzle. If you imagine it as a separate piece, it might not seem a big deal, especially if the child can give an excuse or a reason. But actually, if you imagine, especially across 6 siblings being in school, if you imagine if every single teacher had a separate piece of the puzzle, you put it together, you could have a really good overall picture of the situation at home. And I think that's something we can't take for granted. So again, if this resonated with you, if you found this useful, if it gave you some food for thought, please comment down below and let me know your opinions. Let's try and push this video to as many people as possible so that they can really reflect on their practice, reflect on their pupils, or even try and get some clues as to, you know, if a child looks like they're falling asleep, do they feel unwell or do they have a restless night? If they had a restless night, why? It might be the difference between opening up conversations and potentially having a disclosure, and actually a child going for ages without anyone knowing the impact or the things that are going on at home. So please take care. Remember, safeguarding is super important. Take your role seriously. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. If you are a teacher, trainee, go and check out those other videos and subscribe, because we've just reached 5,000 subscribers, so the next goal is 5,500. Take care. Bye.